modality of Reiki brings us in tune and in alignment with that one truth that is the only truth. If we need anything, if we need remember anything, and truly be convinced of anything at all, consider coming home to the truth that is love and the blessings that awareness holds, that awareness brings and is. Reiki is a modality that allows us to be in tune with that oneness of unity consciousness, of peace on earth consciousness, by creating peace within ourselves first. And so then creating the correct conditions within ourselves to be able to perceive that around us, in others, in world that we call real. Our ability to connect with that love consciously and to choose consciously that be the means through which we extend healing and love to ourselves and out to others is a pathway that brings us away from us having to do anything by ourselves, but rather connecting with something greater than ourselves that allows and bestows unto us even more power, more love, and more light than we can create with the mind, with the individual mind. So this pathway of learning how to connect with that love, with that light, learning how to give back to ourselves, and perhaps even share that with others, is a huge means of alchemation that assists us. Hi, welcome, Karen. That assists us in bridging heaven on earth. I'm a true believer. This is one of many modalities that we get to learn how simple it can be. That's what I love about Reiki. And really, in the traditional sense that we're going to share today, we're going to keep it basic. Reiki is a Japanese word and modality of healing. As a Japanese word, it generally translates to universal life force energy. And the conscious use of that life force energy as a means to bring healing. And when we think about healing, we're thinking about, oh, my knee hurts, or my shoulder, I have a thing in my shoulder or something. But really, and a lot of course students here will perhaps be aware that the healing happens in the mind, yes. Yet at the same time, Reiki understands the multidimensionality of ourselves. On this plane, on this planet here now, we have this density of the physical body. And we also, if we keep the bodies, we've all heard of auras, an aura, yeah? So, and if we keep that concept very simple in its most traditional sense, we just think physical body, mental body, which is all about the mind. It's a body energetically that just has all your thoughts in it. And then there's another layer of body, the emotional body, that just has all your emotions in it. Right? And then we'll just say spirit. We'll just keep it simple for today. So generally, those three levels, we all exist multidimensionally on that way. We're bodies, we have thoughts, and we have emotions. Right? Reiki, that divine life force energy, is a means to which bring light to all those areas of those parts of ourselves that are withholding love. I like to say that Reiki is love, that frequency is such the transference and the channeling of such that high vibrational frequency of pure love, a love really beyond anything we could give a definition to, but we could give it a good try. We could call it God, but for some people that's like a weird word or a bad word. But so whatever it might be for us, right? The most beautiful, unbounded, blessed love you can imagine. That's the feeling. It's beyond words. It's the transference of that juicy nectar that's in a daydream because it's not of this world. And it helps to connect in a beautiful union way us with that divine energy by working through us multidimensionally. Traditionally, in a workshop like today, because we are all mixed levels, we're going to learn the basics. We've already learned that Reiki is a Japanese word that means universal life force. We're going to be learning how to access that life force, share it with ourselves, and share it with others. And very simply, You can become attuned. I'm a master teacher, which I share, and I pass on attunements and initiations, and that's a specific path if you really want to bring more life force into your life and learn how to work with it in a way to expand your healing potential and follow that path. But on a day like today, where just anyone can use it and we can access that life force energy. So it's love. We're all wired with it. When you bump your big toe, when you stub your big toe, chances are you're not going to grab your shoulder and say, ow, right? Chances are you're going to grab that big toe and you're going to bite your lip. If you're me, that's what you're going to do, right? And then you're going to remember, oh yeah, Reiki. And then you're going to connect with that source energy, let it channel through you and bring balance and bring healing physically, mentally, emotionally, to whatever all aspects that cause that little interaction to happen. There is something innate within us in our DNA that we are wired to heal ourselves. For most of us, we get a cut, right? There's a small percentage of folks that won't heal right away if they get a cut, but generally speaking, if we get a cut and we clean it, we put a Band-Aid, the Neosporin, it's going to start to heal, and in a week or a couple of days, it'll generally be gone. The body knows how to heal itself, and all we're doing is we're putting our awareness in, clicking it in with that awareness that is already innate within us. And when we do that, and we connect to something greater than us, universal life force energy, it has the potential to what we call work miracles, because it's not of this density of the world. In fact, I like to think about it in a book I'm writing called Renegade Reiki. I like to think about it as all is God, right? And if that is a weird word for you, I invite you to put your own word in there. Source, omniscient, goddess, whatever it might be, the Buddha, whatever it might be. But really, ultimately, that's the truth, that everything just is one love, is unity consciousness, is a big love fest, is God. Everything is God on a higher dimension. Yet, when we become a body, we have to get some atoms up in us, right? We lower our vibrations, so to say. It's not a bad thing, but we become a human being. So on this third dimensional density, we gather atoms and structures that make up this body. And inherent in being a body is having a mind and emotions, which are also things of the atomic world that we've given names and definitions and meanings to. And that's why it can be very profound when someone has a deep meditative experience, a deep healing experience that takes them out of the world that they think they know, out of the body they've become so accustomed to being represented as, that they have this otherworldly, this other dimensional experience, because they're remembering the truth that they are God, that they are one, that they are whole already. And that's what the Reiki does, is it brings us into that consciousness, into that plane, into that sphere of being at one with what is one. Wow. And it's the most simplest thing in the world to practice, and we're going to do more of that as we get on. So, with that, I love this little gentleman here. He's just, remember from like biology or something, you would see like, this is the central nervous system and all the channels, right? And you remember, can you see in the back? Yeah. I'll have to get like a huge poster of him and give him a name. But, and we've done, I know some of us were talking about chiropractic or acupuncture. Have we done some acupuncture maybe and stuff? So we're aware the spinal alignment, if you go get click-clacks, chiropractic, acupuncture, there's meridian energy lines through the body that when there's a blockage, they put the needles in the right place, leave them for a while, do a little something, take the needles out, and then, the flow happens again. And that's the prana, that's the life force energy, the chi, the key to life, really, that is being allowed then to flow. It's like if there's a kink in the hose, that life force energy isn't going to be flowing, and that's what they do, the needles, we do our yoga, to take the kinks out of the hoses. So it's like, my knee feels better, my this feels better, I finally got rid of all that, just spaghetti junction of caked in, baked in stuff that's going on. Well, if we think about it physically, on every different level of our being, we have this system, this nervous system or this meridian system. We have channels that run through us that are nourished by life force energy. The main channel, which I'll use this quartz crystal to demonstrate, runs through the center line of the body, the Sushumna or Shushumna. And this holds within it the spinal column, but also it's like the home of where the chakras begin from the spinal column. And this is like a crystalline tube that runs up above your head, depending on whose book you read. Some people say it goes for like 48,000,078,000 miles, or 2 feet, or 13 feet. So, but just know we all got a tube, right? So, and within this crystalline tube is your spinal column. And there's, according to many ancient texts, this is like, you don't even need limbs. Like, this is where your spaceship, your internal spaceship, to connect with that unity abides, right? Someone said today, you were talking about the guy without arms and legs who was rock climbing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was at one and fully owning his life. Like, but he had his spine, right? He had his sushumna. So, energetically, think about it like this. We breathe with our nose in and out. Sometimes we don't even have to think about it. Thank goodness. It's just an automatic thing. Energetically, our energy bodies, breathe in and out from the upper and lower part of that crystalline tube, just naturally. Life force energy. It just takes it in, it takes it out, and we're nourished by it. Yet, over lifetimes of pain, of hurt, of living a life we don't want to live, being in a marriage we hate, living at a job that we hate, blah, 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 bills or car accidents or whatever, all this stuff, being abused and just all the crazy of this world that happens. When that stuff happens to us and we do not have a mode and a means to clear and cleanse and purify, whether you go to therapy or you go to the mountain or you meditate or you do your healing or whatever it is, when we do not take out the trash, so to speak, and make peace, place love there, forgive, whatever your modalities are, it begins to get locked up there. Your energetic body's ability to just take in the natural gift of God, of love, of light, to inhale and to exhale it and to circulate it throughout not only your physical, but your mental and emotional bodies becomes congested, right? And then over lifetimes, or this one lifetime, if that space is allowed to just really, I like to call it caked in, baked in. There were those old commercials with the lady with the glove, and she'd be like, look, and she'd have this oven spray, and she would take the sponge, and it would just go right through like that one like clean spot down the aisle, and then there's all the funky, weird. That's like what happens in that channel, is that after year, and we've seen it. I mean, if you're like, oh, yeah, Uncle Harry, I think he could use some oven cleaner. You know, it's like, we can see it in ourselves or in people around, and we don't need to judge it, but it's a metaphor kind of a thing to imagine that there's a natural ventricle, there's a natural tube, there's a natural brilliance to the energy sphere of our being that breathes in and breathes out, but when that gets congested, then all the ways that main highway, that main channel is able to distribute and circulate life force energy through all of our beings so that we have health, so that we can think clearly, i.e. with love and with light. And when we can then act and be in the world and extend emotionally, mentally from that place of love and light, it's better able to operate when that tube is cleaned out. And when that tube is gunked up, then it starts to filter more gunk out into all these channels and it gets blocked. And then we're like, I need a whole bunch of acupuncture, I need a lot of yoga, I need a detox, I need, and we go through these cycles, and eventually we learn for ourselves at different times in our life the balance, right? I know if I'm going to drink 2 bottles of wine tonight, I'm probably not going to feel good in the morning. That's just a crazy, offering. But it's like that. If I eat the whole cake, if I have just a slice, maybe a slice and a half, maybe 2, okay, then I'll be okay. But, but these little things that we deliberate all the time, but it's like that with energy, too. It's like, let me understand what is the natural force of my body. My body's natural blueprint is to be healthy and is to be in its full divine alignment of love and light. And Reiki helps the body, all levels of the bodies, to remember that that's the truth. We don't need to use words to try to figure it out, although we're doing it here. We'll have questions and answers for sure, but really that's the simplicity of it, is that what I like to teach and share is that when we share Reiki, we are placing love wherever it is. Even if there are times where you will not touch the body, where you will just be hovering the hands, you're still placing love. You're not trying to fix the knee, you're not trying to fix the digestive problem, you're just placing love there, and the intuitive intelligence of that love knows what to do and where to go. So is that understood with the energy, right? Okay. So we don't have to go necessarily too much into that more unless we really want to. On a very basic level, every day, because the world is the world, we interface with it continually. And so we have a constant opportunity to be pulled into one way of thinking and feeling that will either keep us bound by the world and by the limitations of this 3D thing of thinking that we are just a body and that we're bound to those dimensions. Yet, multidimensionally, what Reiki reminds us of is that we are so much more than that. And it invites us to be attuned with those aspects of being and to get out of the way, because it's not about us even being the healer. You can call yourself a healer. I think in one of my brochures, that's one of my hats that I wear. Yet, in Reiki, I know that I'm not doing anything but being present, being a conduit for that life force energy to flow through. So as we go through our day, remember that you're not doing the healing. Marianne Williamson, I love it. She talks about this metaphor in many ways. I haven't heard her talk about it with Reiki, but she says you're the faucet, not the water. You know, you're not God. Even though we are God, we get confused. Wait, I thought I was God. I thought I was the one connected. Yet, there's, in this third dimensional realm of sharing this gift, there's a big difference between me thinking I'm going to heal you and use my energy to do it versus I'm going to connect with something infinite, God, love, light, you know, and let that channel through me being the faucet and allow the wisdom and intelligence of that to heal whatever it needs to heal. So it's not about what I think you need. The moment it is about what I think you need, that's when Reiki or otherwise healers take on other people's stuff. You've heard of that before, right? You go, maybe, okay, it's like when a healer is like, oh, you have a headache, let me do that, and then the healer walks away with the headache and the person is like, I feel so much better, but then the healer takes on their stuff because they've used their own reserves of energy to try to do the stuff instead of consciously connecting with what is greater than them, universal life force energy, and just being the observer and letting that wisdom of that do it by itself. Does that make sense? Because that's just important. I think we're all good, we're all different levels here and stuff, but that's the main key to go back to, is that it's not about what you think needs to change in someone. It's just being present to hold space for that divine blueprint, to remember that that's the truth, whatever it looks like. Okay, a little bit of history. You brought a card. Would you mind holding up the card of Mikao Usui? So Dawn just happened to bring out a beautiful card. This is Mikao Usui, Dr. Mikao Usui, who is said to be the founder, the founding element of our generation that has brought this wisdom back to the planet. Even though, as I was sharing earlier, thank you, Dawn, that this is really something that's innate and within all of us. It seems like there are beings that come to this planet time and time again that help us remember, like, oh yeah, it's really that simple. And Mikao was one. Very brief story, and there are many stories depending on whose book you read. So the general thread is that he was a professor, a teacher, a minister, and one of his students said, how did Jesus heal? And he was like, OMG, he didn't really say it, but he hashtag, what? In 1880, he's all, no. But that sent him on a sabbatical. Some books say 10 years, some books say 20 years, where he just took off. He went and studied with the yogis, he's like doing the yoga, and it's like breathing and chanting. He's like, is this how people heal? And then he spent time with the monks, did the Buddhism, he saw some of the symbols, the Sanskrit and the kanji, Japanese things, and he's like, something ringed a bell, but those monks were like, they weren't giving anything up, so he's like, all right, next. He goes to America, he's doing the faith healing, laying on of hands with the Christian folks. He's like, this seems like this should be it, but he knew in his deeper strata that he hadn't got it, whatever it was for him to get. So years later, he goes back to Japan, the mountain, takes 21 stones, goes on a fast, he's like, that's it. 21 days, the end of every day, I'm going to throw a stone into the lake. And at the end of that fast, I'm over it. So the 21st day, right, he's like, still nothing. Like after 10, 20 years of sabbatical, he's like, that's it. I let go. I just, boom, that's what it is. And the moment he lets go of needing to know is the moment it's said it all comes to him. The story is something around this level that he receives a lightning bolt from the heavens that hits him in the third eye, knocks him out unconscious, but in those minutes of unconsciousness, he downloads this whole beautiful system of natural healing with symbols and ways to attune, to align people with the energy, to pass this ceremony so that they understand the teachings, how to use it to heal themselves, how to heal others. He goes on to start a clinic in Japan. He's healing, helping people with cancer heal. Then he gets a student who he trains several masters, and some of the students become masters and take the teachings on and on and on. It goes to Hawaii, and eventually it wraps back around here, and now we're having these wonderful Reiki workshops and circles, and we're remembering together that it's really this simple. The practice will change your life forever. Allow today to be a very transformational day for you. You're here, you've come this far. Something is calling you to it, whether it's a new thing or you've been with it before. You're here for a reason. Let it be mystical. Let it be heart-inspiring. Let it be just something that you can't even put words to. Let it be a completely beautiful new experience for you, as much that you can welcome it. And it will be that. Like, hands down, it will be that. It's completely changed my life. And it's not just like a thing that you get attuned and you're like, okay, I'm done. It might be, but the work that goes with the responsibility, if you are choosing to really learn it as a path for your own healing and transformation, is a daily work. It's like a meditation. It becomes a lifestyle, but that gives you so much in return because you have peace of mind and a true sense of your personal power that is not identified with the ego in the way that we have been taught it is. It is a personal power that is, how can I help versus what can I get? That's my version of drop the mic. This is officially my 15th year of being a Reiki master teacher, and I've already written a book. My little promo plug. I'm going to be releasing this in 2017, The Reiki Apprentice, which is all about, well, I have a synopsis if you're really interested, but it's a book about serious transformation and the path of really, with sincere application, putting Reiki to use in one's life, and the magnificent, bizarre adventure that life becomes when you actually let go and surrender to that, right? Those people laughing are like, girl, I know. Okay, so, blessings. I do have some brochures, and please take a card before you leave and all that good stuff. But for now, if we're good, for now, we'll soak that in. And we begin the talking circle.